Are you trying to figure out how to buy real estate with your Bitcoin? We sit down with Greater Property Group co-founder David Morell. David is on the cutting edge of a lot of crypto and real estate transactions. It was a pleasure to sit down with him, and you're going to get a lot out of this episode if you are interested in real estate and crypto and the future use case for both.
This is the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast, the show that highlights Saskatchewan real estate. Looking to buy your first house, your next investment property? Subscribe to never miss an episode. Here's your host, Ron Caroni.
David, you are one of the only people I see on social media talking about real estate and cryptocurrency. And because crypto is a big buzzword right now, I thought it would be amazing to have you on and get some of your perspectives. So first off, thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you, Ron. We've been going back and forth, so this is an honor.
Just before we get into the questions, David, give us a little bit of a background on yourself and your background in Canadian real estate.
Sure. Yeah. No, I've been in the real estate industry for 20 plus years now. Co-founder, managing partner of Greater Property Group. We operate five cities across the country now. So we do that as a brokerage. I also have a top-rated podcast as well. Love to talk about all things real estate, branding, marketing, unique selling propositions, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point.
Wonderful. Well, David, let's get right into it. Do Canadians own crypto, and are they looking to make purchases with it?
Yeah, they are. Surprisingly, Canadians are actually pretty crypto savvy as a whole. In fact, the adoption of crypto by Canadians has really ramped up the last few years. This is a space we've been familiar with for quite a number of years now, and in the real estate space, we've been familiar with it for I guess about 4 or 5 years. We've been exploring the crypto, blockchain, and real estate space together. In terms of do Canadians have crypto and are they spending it? Yeah, actually, what really sent us down this path was years ago. We were invited to speak at a crypto convention, cryptocurrency convention, and we were sitting there and we were meeting, crypto millionaires, Bitcoin millionaires that were very young. Very young, late teens, early 20s, and they were making significant income buying and trading cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. And they were looking to make purchases because they'd made vast sums of money with crypto, and they were buying boats and cars and things like this. And of course, coming from real estate, we thought, well, this might be interesting to kind of explore the space from a real estate perspective. And as it turned out, it was a small kind of niche down group, but there were people that were interested in making purchases using crypto or Bitcoin. So we figured out a way to do that and facilitate that. And I don't know if you want to unpack this fully right now, if you're down to do that. But what was interesting was we thought that this would be a tremendous buyer offer for our clients, right? So we would figure out a way that we could facilitate a purchase using Bitcoin. We did. We had got the lawyers. We figured out all that type of stuff, how to do that, and how to hold the money in trust and wallet to wallet and all that type of thing. So we did that, and we thought it was a tremendous buyer offer, which it was. But what we quickly figured out was it was a seller offer. Sellers were wanting to advertise their property for Bitcoin, and what that was doing was it was opening up their property for possibly a new pool of buyers, international buyers. That would want to transact in Bitcoin. So at that time, and it still is that way, you can move large sums of money real fast for real cheap, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. That's kind of the idea behind the invention of Bitcoin, actually. Decentralized way to move money. It's working as intended, I think, by Satoshi for the most part. But that being said, it made sense to us. We'd been operating in Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Toronto. And I remember, selling properties. And sometimes if you had an international buyer, I remember one case specifically where we had, a buyer from China, and it was really difficult getting the money moved around in time for closing because it had to sit in the bank. You needed proof of fund. You needed all these, you're in the business. So we needed all these, this paper trail on the money. Whereas if we were using Bitcoin and we're using wallet addresses on the blockchain, it would have happened real fast, or we could have liquidated the money real quick. So that was kind of the genesis behind that whole scenario.
So I know from a personal standpoint that when a bank is going to be using cryptocurrency as a down payment, it needs to mature in an account for 90 days. Now, when your buyers are using Bitcoin to buy a home, are they buying it outright, David, like full price with that Bitcoin?
Yeah. So most of the transactions we've done is basically they'd be like cash offers, basically. Yeah, wow. Same type of thing. Yeah. We have facilitated a number now where a number of transactions, or a few transactions anyway, where the majority has been in crypto and then they've offset the rest in cash. But so, for the most part, they are cash buyers.
This is obviously a huge boon for you guys. If you have a buyer or a seller who is looking to transact in crypto, and you guys are kind of the lead horse on this, have you found that it's been a good business generation for you because you're in this space?
Yeah, we're bullish on it. Like, we think that this is the future of the way people will be transacting in real estate. We do one of the things we do as a company is we're very heavy on coaching and training, and we do every 2 weeks we have these mastermind meetings for our agents. We bring in guest speakers. We recently just had Ryan Serhant last week from $1 Million Listing New York. So we just had him, and he was just quoted as saying at Inman, I think about 6 weeks ago, maybe slightly more, maybe 2 months ago, that he believes that within the next 5 years, half of all real estate transactions will be conducted in crypto. That's what he predicts, right? Not us, that's him. And he's one of the biggest real estate brands in the world, right? I think it's inevitable. I think some form of digital currency and digital transactions that will lead the way in real estate. And we haven't even talked about, blockchain technology and smart contracts, which I think is a natural fit to the real estate business. But crypto as a whole, you're getting, mass adoption, you're getting institutional adoption. More companies are looking seriously at it. So people are starting to wrap their head around what this is and how it's being used in their various industries. We just want to be the company that people think of when they think about digital currencies and in crypto and real estate. That's what we want to be.
So I'm Ron, I'm a buyer, and let's say that I've got 10 to 20 Bitcoin sitting in my Bitcoin wallet. Do I have to cash it in for Canadian dollars, or am I able to transfer my Bitcoin to another wallet to make this transaction happen?
Yeah, so there's a few scenarios here. So one is, yes, that would typically most sellers are not accepting Bitcoin, right? They're accepting fiat currency, we say, right? So Canadian dollars. So if you do want to liquidate your Bitcoin and convert that to fiat and then use that to purchase a property, that's one way to do it. But we are getting more sellers now that are actually saying we only want to advertise our property for Bitcoin. So we will only accept Bitcoin, believe it or not. That's starting to happen, Ron. And if that's the case, then, we do have we've partnered with an exchange that will sit there and we'll sitting at the table there, we'll convert the Bitcoin. You're talking about significant amount of money sometimes, and they'll put that into fiat and then forward that to the lawyer if that's the way we're going to do it. Or, if you do have a seller that wants to accept Bitcoin, it can go wallet to wallet with verification. Of course, it's very secure on the blockchain, right? So that can happen. And sellers wanting to, only accept Bitcoin. What we did was on our website, we started to price all our properties in both fiat currency as well as Bitcoin pricing, which was phenomenal. Like, this was, it was a little, we thought it was cool. We thought it was cool because, for one, we were doing crypto transactions, but number two, what a way to make your listing stand out, right? Is to have your property in Bitcoin pricing as well. And so it's been a tremendous seller proposition, right? A tremendous value for a seller who wants to kind of make their property stand out a little bit more.
And so when we were texting, David, you talked about that unique selling proposition. Is that kind of what you're really talking about? Or is there anything to expand on that of the benefits of this?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I actually talk pretty passionately about unique selling propositions. The real estate industry as a whole is somewhat archaic, in terms of the marketing and branding. We believe that every industry is being blown up by unique selling propositions. It's not just real estate, it's the mortgage industry, it's insurance, it's cars, it's hotels, it's really everything. And unique selling propositions should be a significant part of your marketing and branding. And we were founded on USPs. In other words, we're able to answer to our clients and consumers, what's in it for me if I buy or sell with you, right? So we think that, crypto is just one, arrow in the quiver. It's just something else in the utility belt that we have that we offer our clients, and in turn our agents, right? So if our agents want a distinct advantage, a number of USPs will help do that, right? And crypto is one of them. So unique selling propositions, calls to action. Why should I work with you? I think now more than ever, I think you need to be able to answer that question. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of competition in the real estate industry. If you can't clearly articulate your value proposition, you're going to have a hard time in this industry. So everything we do at our company is helping empower the agents with their USPs and their calls to action and whatnot. So in essence, experience is one thing, good service is a baseline, but really, what's in it for me? If you can answer that as an agent, you're going to have a distinct advantage on your competition. So yeah, it's something we talk really passionately about, actually.
And this goes perfectly into the next question of, with the growing prevalence of crypto, is this going to change the way we buy and sell real estate? You had Ryan Serhant there say, we're going to have this prediction that we're going to see more and more of these transactions. Where do you see this going?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like you, I have a podcast. I just had Dr. Saifuddin Ammous on the show, who is the author of the Bitcoin Standard. He's one of the preeminent authorities on Bitcoin. And I talked about this, Bitcoin maximalists. If you talk, there's two worlds. There's the Bitcoin world, and then there's the everything else world of crypto, right? So you've got the Bitcoin only people and everything else. So there's a lot of utility on the crypto side that is being used in ways, anything you can imagine can be used in crypto, the utility there, right? From, the way that we structure contracts to information on the blockchain to title transfer, all these type of things in crypto. Bitcoin itself is a really good example because that's the way that people, it's been seen as kind of a hedge against inflation. It's been seen as a store of value. It's been seen as hard money, basically. So, will people be using Bitcoin in everyday transactions? I'm not sure. Will crypto be used, and the technology behind crypto and the utility behind crypto and blockchain every day? Yeah, I think it's inevitable. I think some of the things that reduce friction in a real estate transaction that are made possible by cryptocurrencies and blockchains, I think that they will be here to stay. I really do think that. Smart contracts, especially, I think will work their way into, there already are, into real estate. I think the way that we record things on a ledger, on blockchain, that'll change everything. NFTs and real estate are starting already to change things. I mean, we're involved in a NFT project in our expansion. Gives you 4 separate reward utilities. If you own a piece of the artwork, which is kind of the key behind an NFT, it gives you 4 reward utilities. So we're really excited about that. Personally. So there's a lot of applications to the industry in terms of crypto and blockchain, but then there's Bitcoin over here, which is a little bit different, if that makes sense.
So there is a young mortgage broker who is like, I want to be on top of this. I have to be part of this financing. Do you have any idea, David? Because ultimately Bitcoin, or if we have some type of coin in the future and we are transacting in it, much like we have now with fiat currency, how are people going to be loaning or lending? Will it be Canadian banks, or do you see it that there will be Bitcoin whales that will do the loans for these types of real estate transactions? How do you see that playing out?
Again, this is all new territory, right? So we don't know. We do know that there's crypto debt funds. We do know that institutions and banks are coming out with risk policies on cryptocurrencies. We know that banks are looking to get ahead of this because it's here to stay. So trying to figure out a way to do that or what that means. People are already loaning out their crypto, with interest. You've got that type of stuff happening. I think it ultimately comes down to what's the best for the consumer or how the consumer is going to look at this, right? And I think, when we zoom out, I mean, you and I are in the industry, so we look at things from the day-to-day perspective of our business. You as in the mortgage business, me as in the brokerage business. But when you really zoom out and you look at things from the perspective of a consumer or client, how are they going to be using crypto, or how are they looking to use crypto? And if you can solve that problem, right, or whatever issue they might be facing, right? That's why DeFi is becoming so popular outside the banks, right? Because of the red tape of banks. This, right? So wherever the dust settles, it'll be for the benefit of the consumer and the ease of use, I think. So I don't know exactly where that where that goes. I don't know what advice I would actually give a new or young mortgage broker, other than to just really wrap your head around what this is. Read the Bitcoin standard, read the fiat standard, study the principles of economics, and then really understand what digital currency actually means.
So if I could kind of summarize, David, you're saying water will run downhill. If a consumer can make an easier transaction through crypto, they will. And it will be something that will be more prevalent. The easier it gets for a consumer to use, the better it will be for them.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. Anything that makes it easier, quicker to buy. I mean, not to take you on a world tour here, but things have really changed in our industry over the last few years. Like consumers and the public have more information and data than they ever had before, right? They involve a mortgage broker and a real estate agent sometimes later, well, most times later in the process than they ever did, right? And that's because they have more access to information, technologies at their fingertips, right? Technology's right there. It enables them to shop and look from afar before they are ready to pull the trigger, right? So that's one thing, and also the buying behaviors of consumers has changed too, right? So it's not necessarily the one that's built the relationship with the client that gets the deal anymore, right? It's the one who's got the key to the change room. That's the illustration we always use. People look for information for a long time. If you go shopping, at the mall for a new coat, right? You might spend hours at it. What's the big mall in Saskatoon?
We got three. We'll go Midtown.
Okay. So you're at Midtown Mall, you go to Burberry, you go to Nordstrom, you go to whatever, right? For hours, you try on different coats, different sizes. You spend a long time there. You go home, you sleep on it, and you go back to the mall. And guess who gets the commission? It's the one who had the key to the change room the next day, right? So, or
even worse than that, you'll go to the mall to try on the coat, but you're going to order it from Amazon.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. That's even better. That's who gets the commission. That's who makes the money. Get what I'm saying? So if you can be in front of a client when that timing and motivation is there for a transaction, and you're the one they think of, and you have the key to the change room or that utility or that what's in it for me, you're able to answer that, you're more likely to get the deal. So that's what I mean by the buying behavior of consumers has changed quite a bit over the last few years, right? So again, zooming out and looking at things from the perspective of a consumer will really move the needle on your business, I think. And I think crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin, all these things are a piece of the puzzle. I don't think it's everything, but I think it's a piece of what we offer the public.
I think you make a really good point, David. Anything to wrap us up here when we're talking about crypto, blockchain, real estate? Any last thoughts on this before we move to your advice piece?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I just that, this is a space we've been in for a while. We've really seen an uptick in the inquiries, the calls to action. We do generate a lot of business just based off that. I think it's been significant to what we do. We love the space. We're very passionate about it. We think it will change the way that people buy or sell real estate in the next few years. A lot of the technology there, the NFT, we didn't even touch on the NFT stuff. So the NFT world is really interesting from our perspective in real estate. So that's good. And then what was the other question? It was a two-part question.
It was your advice in crypto and real estate.
Oh, crypto and real estate. Yeah, that would wrap it up, I think, from there. But if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out for sure.
Fantastic. All right. I'd like to ask everyone who comes on the podcast this question. If you could go back to a younger version of yourself, whether you want to do it just as you were starting to become the managing partner or when you first entered the real estate game, what advice would you give to a young David?
One is seek knowledge sooner. I think I would have, I only recently became really involved in masterminds and doing a lot of diligent reading. And I mean, really, you can be mentored by anyone online now, right? Like you can be mentored by Richard Branson if you want to, right? So I think I would have, sought out knowledge sooner. And also too, a piece of advice for everybody is not every agent is successful. Not everybody in the real estate industry is successful, right? So success leaves clues. I think that's the other piece of advice. So study those that came before you who are successful. So success leaves clues.
Very cryptic. I know there's a lot of real estate people who are watching this and they're terrified because they're like, oh my God, my job is out here. But I think that's a great piece of advice at the end there, David. If people want to follow along, you got a great podcast. How can they find you? Where can they find the podcast? And if they're looking to learn more about GPG, where can they go?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So just the website's greaterpropertygroup.com. And I think info at greaterpropertygroup.com if you have any questions about the brokerage. The podcast is the Run a GPG podcast. Interview entrepreneurs, influencers, best-selling authors, hip-hop legends, musicians, artists, creatives. RunGPG.com. You can go there on all your favorite players, Spotify, iTunes, etc. And you can connect with me on IG. I think is probably where I am most active.
And what's the handle, David?
Oh, D Morell YYC. So DMORRELL YYC.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on, David. Oh,
one more. Ahead. Yeah, the NFT project. If you want to sign up for information on that, it's wolfofrealestate.com. And you can just put in, wolfofrealestate.com. It's mind-blowing. We've got a world-class developer team on this, as well as a award-winning studio working on the art. It's literally the who's who in the NFT space. wolfofrealestate.com. You enter your email address, and then we'll send updates, I think, is what the developer team's doing. So
fantastic. Thanks so much for that, David. And thanks so much for your time here going through crypto and real estate. I think we're probably going to have to get you on when we have some updates on this. You're
for sure. Yeah, I'd love to.
And I really appreciate having you on. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Ron. Appreciate it.
Thanks again for checking out this episode. If you found it informative, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're looking for more content on Saskatchewan real estate, please feel free to check out my social channels. I'm Ron Caroni, your Saskatchewan mortgage professional. Bye for now.